Still undecided about which RGB light to get? Here's another quick review of a highly portable, full-featured RGB light from Weeylite. If you subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel, you do, don't you? Then you already know I've recently reviewed a couple of RGB lights you can use either as a photography or videography accessory. This light from Weeylite is yet another example of some of the cost-effective full-function lights that fall in the $65 to $125 price range. As with the other lights I've reviewed, this RGB light allows you to project white light while controlling brightness and color temperature, as you can do with the inexpensive battery-powered LED lights. Again, as with the other lights, you can also use the RGB functions of this light to dial in any of 360 colors while varying their intensity. This light also has several pre-programmed scene settings that allow you to quickly and easily select lighting solutions to set the mood of the photo or video scene you're shooting. Let's take a quick look at the light itself and the various controls and functions you'll have access to. Okay, so here is the box that the Weeylite RGB light comes in. It's a pretty sturdy little box. It's got the usual retail packaging. And because it doesn't come with a case, I'd recommend keeping the box and storing the light in it. So let's take a look at what comes in the box. Okay, so here is what comes in the box. There's a warranty registration card, the instructions, and as you're going to see that this uses a lot of modes and combinations, and so you're going to want to review the instructions and probably keep track of what's going on with this little chart in the instructions, and so that'll be important for you to have. It's not hard to do, it's just that there are a lot of options. There is, of course, the light itself, and the light itself has the USB micro connection here at the top, which allows you to charge it. Of course, comes with the USB charge cable. On one end, you've got a 1/4x20 plug. On the bottom, you've got a 1/4x20 plug. And then on the upper, or on this side, you've got all of the controls. Then in the back, you've got a little screen right here that will tell you what's going on, and it will allow you to make your selections in the various modes, which we're going to take a look at in just a moment. And then last but not least, here is this cold shoe mount. So you can put this on your camera, spin the knob down to lock it in, and then spin the other knob up to lock it into the device itself. So that's just a handy little tool for you to have to get this mounted either to your cage or to your camera. So that's what's in the box. Now let's take a look at the operation of the device itself. As I mentioned a second ago, the controls for the light are here on buttons along the side, with the labels for the buttons here on the back, with a very small screen that allows you to see what's going on. So let's turn the device on. You can see that it illuminated. I've got the power down pretty low so it doesn't, blow out after hitting this white table. But in mode 1, basically there are several different icons that represent different levels of power. These include a shadow, cloudy, flashlight, noon light, fluorescent lamps, and so forth. So as you can see, the little icon here shows a shadow, and I can use the plus and minus buttons down here to rotate through those. So now I've got the arrow up here at the power level, so I'm illuminating at 34%. I can press the set button, moves the pointer down to the icon, and then I can go from shadow to cloudy to the flashlight to noontime sun, fluorescent lamp, and incandescent lamp. And each one of these, as you may be able to tell right here, is changing the color temperature of the light as it's as you work through those choices. By selecting the mode button, you can move to mode 2, and mode 2 is really kind of typical of the lesser expensive LED lights, and by using the set button, you can move the arrow between the intensity, which I've got at 34%, and the color temperature. And then you can adjust the color temperature of this white light to meet your particular need. You know, if you're trying to match indoor lighting, it would be lower, and if it was to match outdoor lighting, it would be higher. Right now it's at 6200 Kelvin. The next mode is mode 3, and that allows you to set the RGB color to whatever color you want. And so again, pressing the set button moves that little pointer. I've got it again, the intensity at 34%. When I move it to the color, the little 3 circles there, I can use my plus and minus to change the color along that 360 degree range. And so I can go up to 37, 38, I can make it. So I'm in the blue range right now. If I get up past 250 where I am now, it gets a little more magenta until it gets to the point where it's kind of an orangey or red color when you get up to 360 degrees. And so if you have a particular color that you've chosen out of a color wheel, then you can set it there. Again, I go to set, and then now I can use the plus and minus down here to change the intensity of that, or the luminosity of that. And so it goes from 0 to 100%. So that's mode 3. In mode 4, you're able to dial in the exact RGB color that you want to use, and by setting the red, the green, and the blue. So if you were to look up a color online, for example, it would give you the percent red, the percent green, and percent blue. And here you dial that in, and you get exactly the color that you want here in mode 4. In mode 5, it's called streaming light, and basically, if you can look here, you've got 3 choices. When I go to set, I get to the choice, and then I can use my plus or minus, and I can change the speed at which it rotates through the colors. So you can see it's rotating through at the fast speed right now. If I go to B, it's a medium speed, and if I go to C, it's slow. So if you were using this to light a background for one of your videos or something like that, you could just have this ever-changing color background, and that's in mode 5. Mode 6 is a lightning mode, and again, you can use the set button to set the intensity. Here with the starburst or the sun, it still remains at 34%. And then you have A, B, and C choices, and those are the speed at which the light flashes. So, you may want a fast flash if you're like simulating a club with a strobe light, or a slow flash if you were simulating a thunderstorm outside. So that's mode 6, that's your lightning mode. Mode 7, we'll go up here, and mode 7 is your emergency light mode. So again, with the indicator on the brightness, you can change the brightness, press set to change it, and then it's going to rotate A, B, and C to the speed. So this is C, which is fairly slow. It flashes between red and blue. This one is B. You can see the flashing speeds up. And this is A. This is a very fast flashing. So depending on the kind of scene you're shooting, you can simulate those emergency vehicles in your background during your shoot. And then mode 8 has a bunch of just scene settings. And again, you're going to want to keep the instructions with you until you get familiar with these icons. But this one is a party scene or a bar scene. This is a birthday party scene with a little cake. This represents kind of a fairy tale, and so you can see that the lights are changing. It's not a steady light, it's rotating, but it's rotating within a range. So this fairy tale is kind of a pink to green kind of range. This is called the grasslands, and so this is rotating, changing colors definitely within the green color area. This is a sea wave, and so the colors here are changing within the blue. If you were wanting to use an oceanside setting for your video, the aurora is like for the aurora borealis, I suppose, and it's changing within the purples and the violets for the aurora. And then for this movie scene, it's changing across a broader range. And if you had that on your background or showing on your talent, you could simulate them sitting in a movie theater, for example, as the colors in the movies were to change. So those are the various scene modes in mode 8. We go to the next and we're back to mode 1. And so you can see it's pretty easy to control the modes and make the selections. I suspect that for a lot of you, the mode 4 with setting a particular color will be popular. Mode 3 by using the dials 0 to 360 will be popular. And I think mode 2 for changing the the intensity and then the color temperature for a plain white light will also be a very popular use for this light, with some of the other modes being a little more artistic and give you the chance to exercise your creative abilities. So those are the controls of this Weeylite RGB LED light. As you can see, this light from Weeylite has the same functions as some of the more expensive lights, as well as a handful of additional scene selections not found on the others. The controls are easy to manipulate, and the light provides a great deal of brightness. A fully charged light should provide you with plenty of recording time. You can't, however, run the light through a battery bank. When it's charging, the light functions are turned off. This light is a bit smaller than some of the lights in this category. An advantage of this size difference is that it will fit nicely on a small mirrorless camera without overpowering the combo or throwing the balance way off. One of the cool uses for RGB lights is in changing the overall color of a background. Whether it's just a white fabric background or a neutral colored wall with shells or other background items, it's easy to give the background a color to match the mood you're trying to set. I've begun noticing this technique more often in YouTube videos, and I like the outcomes. As always, if you found this video helpful, please click on the thumbs up icon below the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. Subscriptions are important on YouTube, so I'd really appreciate it. Click on the bell icon to be notified when I post new videos. Thanks for watching.